Begin recording. Default scene button.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Vashawn Jones, visionary of Fedora Outlier LLC, and this is video number 2 on Big Sur and the M1 MacBook Pro. Let me start off by saying it is a fast machine. I believe that I said that in the last video that it was supposed to be fast, because in the last video I didn't open it up. I was just telling you my thoughts behind purchasing it, and come to find out I was right. At this particular moment, I have about 12 applications running, my normal applications, nothing real process intensive. In fact, they probably aren't doing anything until I actually move over to them, which justified why, instead of getting a 16 gigabyte, which is the highest capacity RAM MacBook Pro I could have got, and I just settled with the 8. Two reasons behind that. The main reason is I didn't want to wait for the 16 gigabyte to be made specifically for me and be sent to me. So I went to Apple, called right then in the mall, told him I was in the mall and I'd like to pick up one due to COVID. And he set me an appointment within an hour, which caused me to go to Macy's and spend some money. And then an hour later, I walked up to the counter. I brought this baby home and I shot the first video. So that was the first reason. The second reason is the RAM is integrated into the system, into the M1 chip, along with everything else. And so it's going to utilize RAM a lot different, a lot more efficiently, and a lot more effectively. And so that's the second reason I wanted to use it in its stock form just to see what I was going to get. And it's an appliance. And what do I mean by it is an appliance? It's kind of like when you buy a coffee maker. It's pretty much it. You know, the features that you got, if you didn't get the super duper one and you got the mid-range one or the low-end one, I mean, it's nothing more you can do to it. Just like with this computer. In 2 years, and probably, well, definitely this year, it's going to be the slowest M1 Mac that Apple makes. Everything else is going to be faster than this. So I did want to get in on the ground level and see what was going on with it. Now, I avoided like the plague the touch bar. And Shelly Smith, somebody who works with the firm, has been using the touch bar, for a while. She said, try it. She loves it. It's great. And I said, well, I'm going to get a MacBook Pro. The new ones are going to come with the touch bar. I'm going to do it. Now, I was tempted to get the MacBook Air and stick with my F1 keys. And I promise you, as long as I have the escape key and my number keys, I can access the touch bar just fine. Does it take some getting used to? Yeah, I kind of equate it to, you remember when we had like the Nokia phones and we was doing predictive text, and, if we wanted to type, and we would type 263, and 263 to type out the word and. It was really quick. I mean, we could knock it out. And then we switched to touch screens, which slowed us up. I don't know anyone that can really, really type like super fast on a touch screen without using a keyboard as fast as we could using those Nokia phones. So does it slow me up? Yes, from what I'm used to. But do I make up more time in my workflow just by having a faster machine? Absolutely. So the touch bar is great. Speaking of touching, the Touch ID is phenomenal. Instead of having to enter in your passcode, you can just touch it, and there you have it. And so, yeah, that is great. I'm talking to you using a microphone stock with the computer. It's not connected to anything. These are the microphones, so what you hear is what you get. Apple says they're the best in class and best array microphones that they've made thus far. So you be the judge of that. I use professional microphones, and it is what it is. The camera is the stock, still the 720p, but more enhanced FaceTime camera that's built into the system. So you see me. Hopefully I have it angled properly. There's no one here to tell me. So if my head is cut off, or if you're looking at my nose, then, it is what it is. So there you have it. It is fast, especially with Apple's native apps, Logic Pro, Pages, Keynotes, Numbers, Final Cut, iMovie, GarageBand. Everything that Apple makes is M1 compatible. Love it. Big Sur, the operating system. I love it. It is the iOSification of what you see on your iPad and your iPhone. But I do love it. It's great. It's more of what I'm used to. It's more interactive in the manner that I'm used to using it. Because let's face it, I'm on my phone a heck of a lot more than I'm on a computer. So I'm used to the commands, and they work great. Big Sur is great. Haven't found too many accessibility issues. As a matter of fact, I haven't found any. Third-party applications who have been optimized for the M1 chip and Big Sur can't have one without the other, because the M1 operating system only runs Big Sur. Is phenomenal. Apps that use Rosetta, which is the emulation tool that takes the Intel Macs, which are any Mac other than the ones released in November of this year, takes those applications and allows them to run on M1, and there's very little degradation in the speed. I mean, like slight, like you wouldn't even notice it. But you will notice in comparison to using something that's been M1 optimized. Now, storage. Why did I get 512? No, I'm sorry. Why did I get 256? Because I've always wanted to store the applications on my computer and store the data elsewhere where I can manipulate it. And so this is the perfect time to do it, since the M1 MacBook Pro starts with 256, and to get it configured, I would have to have waited. I got lots of storage. I got Synology network attached storage. I have multiple other options of network attached storage. I even have a Envoy Express by OWC that just came out, which is a Thunderbolt 3 M2 drive that's actually connected onto the back of my Mac's lid with the Thunderbolt 3 cable, and I literally transferred 50 gigabytes of data in less than a minute. Super unheard of. And if you guys haven't seen a M2 drive in action, it is the latest and greatest in SSD. It's smaller than the drives that you would even find in your laptops, your majority of your laptops, and it's about twice the thickness of a credit card and about half the size of a credit card, a little bit longer. Very small, thin drive, super fast. Now, it only has 2 ports on it. Now, this is another thing, another reason why I kept the older Mac, which was 2017, the older MacBook Pro, is because of all the ports. I mean, we had HDMI, and we had, Thunderbolt, and we had USB, and all of that. Well, these Macs just have 2 USB-C ports, so what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to spend an extra couple of $100 to get a docking station, which is actually pretty cool once you get past having to pay for something additional. And what I chose was the IO Gear 15-port docking station that has my Thunderbolt in and out, the USB, the Ethernet, gigabit Ethernet, audio in and out, so it has a sound card built in, all of that stuff, a display port. And yeah, so I'm about to connect that, see how that works. I wouldn't imagine that it wouldn't work less than what was expected, which was I plugged something in and there you have it. But you do have to know that you only have 2 ports. So if one port is being used to charge the computer, you only have 1 port left. So the docking station will be an expansion. Now, I can also take my laptop, unplug it from the docking station, get in the airport, and still be able to work. And in that case, I'm going to take or purchase a portable docking station. And I'm probably looking at something else from OWC, which is Otherworld Computing, which is not a sponsor, by the way. But So think about your expansion, what you need for your expansion. Definitely a lot of your USB-C stuff, your USB 3 and 2 and 1 peripherals such as your keyboards, mice, things of that nature that you'll be using that takes the older connection, and then your Thunderbolt and daisy chaining different things. So as we move more into Thunderbolt 3, it's going to become more and more essential that you think about your needs. So storage is maintained, peripherals and external devices and connections are maintained. The computer is fast. The operating system is great. So yeah, I welcome your questions. I haven't downloaded any iOS apps onto the Mac as of yet, but you can do that as well. So it's basically, as my friend Giorgio says, a big old iPad, but but better. So listen, this is the camera. This is the built-in microphone. That's the peripherals and everything else. And you guys know what it is, whether it's 2021 or beyond. Let's change the world, and let's change the world together.